Scholars, icky sicky gamer. I'm pumped full of drugs right now, but I wanted to make a video for you beautiful people. By the way, your daily rotation of Sonic Cup. Here it is. Someone keeps making a comment about it, but here you go. Here's your Sonic Cup. Would you believe me if I told you every week it's a new cup? Who knows? It might be an Arby's cup. I might surprise you. You never fucking know. Scholars, we're almost to 4,000 subscribers. Keep hitting those subby wubbies. My only main goal to ever is like hit 10K. That's like my lifetime goal. Just feels like something that'd be cool. But I figured, you know, as inspiration to get halfway there at 500 or 5,000K, I will shave the big beard. That's right. The Jack Black beard, the thing that makes me look like Jack Black for some reason. I will shave the beard at 5,000. We're almost to we're like 100 away for 4,000. At 5,000, I'll shave the entire beard. That's right. I don't want to, because it takes a minute to grow it all out again. But I will. I'll shave the beard at 5,000 subs. Don't know what the hell we'll do for 10K. I don't know. I'll let people figure out what I should do for 10K as like an incentive, just for the funs of it. But today we're gonna answer a question. It's it's a chill video because I'm also kind of feeling, like I said, icky. So I want to chill. So we're gonna talk about Destiny. We always talk about Destiny. We also like to talk about other games, but we're definitely going to talk. This is not what we're doing, by the way. I forgot where. I think it's this one. Sorry. That's a video for another day. We're not reacting. We're having a conversation. By the way, this is pre-recorded footage that I put on OBS, so we can literally just talk, you and me. Also, I don't know why this is here. I'm doing this like live, and I'm noticing there's like a lot of issues currently, so we're just gonna do this capture. There, beautiful bacon footage. There you go. No, nothing. Again, sorry. Very professional. We're talking about Destiny. Why do I continue to play Destiny? I mean, obviously I'm critical of it. People think I hate it. I was willing to sell my account, or at least attempt to go through shenanigans to sell my account for big money. Why do I continue to play this thing? People think I just hate Destiny, and like the real truth is I actually really do love Destiny. I mean, I went back and played in the portal, the presage, something like that. I forgot that they added it to the portal, right? 90% of the game has been soft sunset, which is what killed a lot of the joy of Destiny. But they brought this exotic mission in, and I played solo, and it made me realize what we're missing and what Destiny's missing is that there are these pockets of fun, these moments that are a reminder to me of why I like Destiny. The gunplay, the exploration, just it feels good. And I always use this. I use this big. Well, it's not big. I use a simple example. The driver sucks, but the car is good. You love the Lambo. Destiny's the Lambo. Okay, maybe Lambo's not. I mean, it's like a Ford Mustang, like the old classics, right? And then Bungie's the driver, and they keep crashing the Ford Mustang, and then they put new paint on it, like to buff out all the scratches and dents and all the shit they do to it. They just put new paint on it, and you're like, there's no problem. But this thing is crashed and has been beaten the hell up, and it's starting to show. Like, you can only wreck a car so many times before you start having issues under the hood, right? And that's the problem. Destiny is great when it works. It's enjoyable when it's treated with respect. When you get a nice tune-up, when this thing is being properly maintained, and the additions to it are just mwah. But we don't get that. I think the closest we got, in my brutally honest opinion, was episode Heresy with the Sunless Cell. It was fun. It was enjoyable. It was Destiny 1, obviously nostalgia bait, but it felt like a good piece of content that I enjoyed. It sucks because I like raiding, but raids are now pointless. Sure, they made the Desert Perpetual slightly worth it now. You get tier 5s easier. You actually get some power and you can grind out for the exotic as much as you want. You can keep on grinding. But what about the other raids? What about all the dungeons, which by the way, are still full price, and yet you don't get any new loot from it? And that's kind of like these are the issues that stack up along with the functionality of the fact that this game's breaking. Then you add on to the fact that Bungie is greedy and the MTX. That's why I play very casual. I no longer invest in this game into the amount. I have 13K hours in Destiny 2 alone, not including Destiny 1. 13K hours. I've invested so much time, doing solo flawlesses. I've done day ones and people are like, no, you didn't. I did. It's on my channel. I've done multiple day ones on the channel. I loved doing that content. I loved challenging myself. I loved playing the game. In fact, Grandmasters were always fun to farm and play. And it was enjoyable. Hell, the last Grandmasters we had was Insight Terminus, and I was speed running with a group that I found on LFG, and we're just hanging out, talking, pushing ourselves, and we did it in like 3 minutes. A 3-minute speed run of Insight Terminus. Okay, maybe that's too fast. I think it was like 6 minutes. No, is it possible to get 3 minutes? No, I think it is. I'm thinking 6 minutes. I'm thinking of solo ops at 3 minutes. Sorry. Like 6 minutes. You could speed run even faster. I think the best teams were doing 3 minutes. But my team, we were doing 6. It was just the fastest I've ever done a Grandmaster. We're just go, go, go. And it was great. It was like, it's a different side of the game. Speedrunners play a different game than I do, right? And most people do. And they get a lot of shit, but I still think it's a fun experience. It's a different way of playing the game. And doing solo flawless challenges is a different way of playing the game. But I feel like a lot of that has been kind of ruined with how Bungie has handled the game. Let alone just the basics if you just want to play the content. Forget speedrunners. Like speedrunners, they obviously go for loot, but they speedrun for the fun of it, right? So I guess for them overall, I don't know. Can't speak for the speedrunner community. If there's no like loot incentive, I don't think it necessarily matters because it's just for the fun of it. But me personally, a lot of the joy of the game died when they removed 90% of the content. I enjoy the gunplay, the narrative when done correctly. Like in the past year, outside of the Final Shape, which I think I'm going to say it, I think the Final Shape's narrative was a little wishy-washy. It wasn't the strongest. I think Witch Queen had a better narrative than the Final Shape. I was okay with the Final Shape. I thought it was a great experience. I had a great time. I spent so many hours playing that, and I don't regret it. Like, fantastic. I can nitpick the Final Shape, but overall, I think that's the best that they could have done with the team that they currently have. I mean, at that point, they still had Joe Blackburn before he dipped. I think they had Chris Proctor before they dipped. Like, it was probably the best that they could get at that moment. I honestly, and I'm saying this honestly, I think the game narratively has gone to the toilet. Sorry, Bife. The game has gone to the toilet. It is just MacGuffins after MacGuffins. I mean, the whole 9 just feels like just pulling something out of someone's butt and saying, hey, we're gonna make this the thing, and then suddenly the Traveler and the Winnower and the Witness really is not that big compared to the fact that we have the Fate saga now. Like, the 9 are just gods among men now, and everything you know is just okay. Like, when we start getting into, we start going overboard with time travel and just, I think the narrative is the weakest it's ever been, especially this now that the seasonal stuff is kind of like whatever. I mean, it really shows when Bungie has to pull from Star Wars into their IP to try to save the story and just the direction. There is no creativity. I think Destiny is creatively dead. And I think you're seeing it with Ashes and Iron, with how they've dealt with that. I mean, they brought back the Red Legion, and quote, the way they did it is they just went back in time. They went back in time to a timeline where the Red Legion still existed. That's the excuse for why the Red Legion isn't back. So narratively, I've stopped caring. I think narratively, Destiny's trash. It is garbage. There's better game. If you want a narrative, there are better games out there. I don't play for the narrative anymore. The gameplay is where it's at. It's bread and butter. There is no other game that does raids like Destiny. And there's like, obviously like 10, 20% of people consume raids. I'm one of those people that consume raids, right? I also play dungeons. I solo dungeons. That is the content that I think is like the bread and butter of Destiny. If you don't like any of that, then obviously Destiny's probably dead to you completely. But like I said, dungeons are useless now because Bungie has soft sunset them. They're still $20 a pop for some reason, but yeah, spend $60 for content that has no value. Except for the exotics, if you want that. You're spending essentially $60 for exotics. So you have to make that value. Is paying for an exotic worth it or not? And cosmetics, because technically you can turn the armor into transmogs, and so you're paying that for cosmetics. I don't know. Destiny has amazing sandboxes, though. The lighting has gotten worse since after Beyond Light, I think. People are comparing it to Destiny 1. I think Destiny 1 had better lighting and environments felt better. It felt more sci-fi. But even then, the skyboxes, the vibe of Destiny has always been good. Kepler sucks ass, but that's everything else prior to Kepler has been good. Even then, when they brought back the Dreadnought, it felt good. It's like, cool, this is the Dreadnought I remember with, some changes to it. I play Destiny because it is a game that I went on a journey with, right? We can go in real detail, right? We'll save that for another video. But I went on this journey through through Bungie, through high school into, I remember playing Destiny 1, and I remember Rise of Iron launch. And I'll tell this little story. Rise of Iron launch, and I woke up. It was midnight releases at that time for Destiny 1, and I remember staying up to like 6 or 5 o'clock. It was like I had work. I worked at Walmart, and I remember staying up, and the servers just kept on crashing and crashing and crashing. It was such a bad midnight experience. It was probably the worst I've ever had for a video game. This was an expansion though, but I remember when I finally got in there. It was Rise of Iron, played the first couple missions, and you're doing the Septic Prime, in front of the Iron Temple, and you're fighting this thing, and it was just, it was amazing. You were excited, it was amped up, even though I was like sleep deprived. I remember going to work and then trying to leave as quickly as possible to get back, and to rush in back into, my friends tell me like, oh my God, you can't believe this. Rushing in, trying to do all the strikes and all the cool new stuff. That's how Destiny was for me. Is that excitement for the next thing. Excitement. The pleasure of completing and having content to play. But playing Edge of Fate was like dragging my nails against a chalkboard. It was painful, uncomfortable, unfun. It's bad and it is a piece of shit to you, at least, when you want it to be over. That's how Edge of Fate felt like. It was an experience that I just wanted to be over. That way I could just do the end content. Unfortunately, joke's on us, there was no end content for Edge of Fate. It was just the sieve. And like 90% of the content was removed. So it's not like you can go farm from Grandmasters or do some of the ritual activities. It was just the portal. And I think from that level, they have added some things. We went from 90% being soft sunset to 85%. We're really breaking the bank here. And I think as long as they continue to allow that much content in the game, especially paid content, to be irrelevant, one, it kills any joy for me to give a shit, because that just tells you in the future they're going to do it again. They're just going to make more content irrelevant. Because they did it once with vaulting, with the content vaulting. They did it once, and now they're doing it again, but with the soft sunsetting. They're going to come out with some new scheme to make you, give a shit about old content. And that's kind of like where the biggest issue is. I don't like Bungie. I don't care about Bungie. They could crash and burn. I don't care. But Destiny as an IP has so much potential. It's a great experience. It's fun. There are some great people in the community. There's some absolute assholes in the community. There are some cool content creators. There's some shitty content creators. There are people that are honest, and then there's shill. There's a lot of different variety. But the moments where I've played with people in the community, and it feels like you're just hanging out with the boys and the gals. I played with some badass gals as well. It's a great time. Some of the funnest times I've had are just dicking around in a raid. Hell, my former clan, we would run around in white and blue gear. That we would just literally just run in full raids with white and blue gear. It was crazy. It was stupid, but it was just some of the stuff we used to do. We had fun with it. It just feels like Bungie it goes out of their way to remove as much fun as possible. A perfect example is the grapple mod. They nerfed it, and then they nerfed it again. People were using it to make farming somewhat fun and enjoyable and more efficient. Based on Bungie's own, dev stream, they showed their own devs using it. And Bungie's like, no, you're having too much fun. No. So they removed it. They brought it back, and they nerfed it twice by how much score it makes and how often you could use it. It is hard to enjoy something when the developer is going out of their way to make sure that you can enjoy it. It's almost like they don't want you to play their game. And I know that's a meme, but I really do believe Bungie doesn't want you to play their game. They do everything in their power that is counterproductive to making players want to come to their game, to enjoy their game, and have fun with their friends. They do everything. There should have never been this conversation of, making a game more social. The portal should have been social from the get-go. Raids should have been have more importance. Why did it take the game frying into the abyss for them to actually make raids viable? Like who's brain rotted, dumb as hell, should be fired immediately decision to make raids drop tier 1 gear at base, that person needs to lose their job. Because that person does not give a fuck about the player experience. And if your motto is you make games that builds friendships, that person doesn't give a fuck about making friendships, because no one's going to make friends if no one's fucking playing raids. Whoever thought the nerfing the main social pinnacle exotic mission at Encore, trust me, no one wanted to do Encore, by the way, but they made sure they nerfed it and removed it. Whoever's decision was to do that, fire them too. Because at least at that moment, people were still playing with others. Because you're not even true to your own motto. I played Destiny because it has potential. And call it copium, that there might be some moments, some moments in there where you can reach out and grab some fun. Those moments where you're able to have some enjoyability. And trust me, as someone who's gone casual and taken breaks, I'm not necessarily burnt out, because there's nothing to be burnt out on, because 90% of it's just removed. So it's like, can't get burnt out on doing raids if there's not a fucking raid to do. Unless you're just farming Desert Perpetual over and over again, then yeah, you'll probably get burnt out. If I'm burned out, it's not burnt out on Destiny, I'm burnt out on Bungie. I'm burnt out on the pure stupidity of a company that self-sabotages itself and doesn't know what its players want. I love Destiny. I hate Bungie. I could care less if people lose their jobs. I used to feel sorry about the layoffs. I do not anymore. I do not. It's not my job to have, empathy for you and to give you golden tickets, give you another pass, give you a pass. I'm a consumer. I'm not going to fund you. I'm not going to buy. I used to buy. Back in the day, a perfect example was in Warmind. That DLC. They gave us the Whisper, and they said microtransactions will help us fund exotic missions like the Whisper. And so I bought the Whisper ornaments. I want to do my part. And granted, you could say, why would you support them? Destiny 2 launch was a nightmare. Curse of Cyrus was horrible, but they were making strides to improve. And then the announcement Forsaken, even after when Forsaken came out, I spent a shit ton of money on Destiny. I wanted to reward the fact that they were doing something. There's going to be people that say, well, this should have never been that. Forsaken should have been Destiny 2 at launch. And you know what? You're right. But I was still at that point where I'm still willing to give them a shot, right? Because we all blamed Activision. At that point, everyone was blaming Activision. We still believed in Bungie. Like, oh, Bungie. And it wasn't until they split that the veil, the scales come off the eyes. The reality comes into view that Bungie is Bungie. And it didn't matter if it was Activision or someone else. They would have been greedy no matter what. Activision just showed Bungie the way on how to get as much money as possible. I don't know what needs to happen for me to come back to Destiny full time, to invest as much time as 13K hours is a lot. It's a lot. It's for even your most average gamer. 13K is an absurd amount of time to dedicate to a game. I don't know what needs to happen. I think the very first thing is you need to make all content relevant. I need the world to feel like the world of Destiny and not just another Fortnite clone. I'm tired of the menu simulating. You know what the last time I loaded up to a public space? I think it's been so fucking long since I went to a public space and saw other human beings. And that's because of the portal. This is supposed to be an MMO, and it's more of a let's just play Fortnite with multiplayer. The gunplay is just as good as it was in Halo. And that's kind of like the sweet sauce. And even people who want to say Marathon is good, that's the same argument they make for Marathon. Granted, I have not played Marathon. Based on what I saw, I wasn't impressed. We'll see. We'll see how it turns out in March. Sorry, we finished the background video and now we're here. That's my bad. This is where we're at. Ignore this because I'm literally recording late. We've gone down to 15K digits. Sorry, this video is not scripted and it's also me being sick, and so I'm trying to gang my thoughts. I just wanted to do an original video, which is not me reacting and just giving my general thoughts as out in the open. I want Destiny to be good again. People think that I'm negative to be negative and that I just want to see Destiny burn. No, I'm okay with Bungie burning, not Destiny. And people are like, well, you need Bungie. No, you don't. NetEase showed you it's perfectly. I mean, sure, not a lot of people are watching Destiny Rising on Twitch. Doesn't mean that there wasn't 10 million people downloading on their phones and playing it. Like, people may not watch it, but doesn't mean they're not pulling it out on the toilet to play. Like, let's be reasonable here. Destiny Rising showed us that if another company made Destiny or took over Destiny, it could be successful. That's what it showed us. That the formula that Bungie has made can be handed to someone else and it would be successful. Because the reality is the Bungie we have now is not the Bungie that even made what helped make Forsaken. A lot of those people are helping making Marathon right now, and the rest of them are gone. Luke Smith, where you loved him or hate him, Joe Blackburn, Chris Proctor, some of these massive key players. And granted, some of them are also to blame for the content vaulting and sunsetting and all these other shitty decisions they decided to make. They're also to blame on that. But they also made some banger decisions that were for the player. The Bungie that had the sweet sauce for Destiny, they're either not a Bungie anymore or they're working on Marathon. So the idea that Destiny can get better, I don't think it can with the current team. I have no faith in the current team. They have failed an entire year. It has gotten worse since the launch of the Final Shape onward. Well, after the Final Shape, I think the Final Shape was the last hurrah of okay content. Afterward, it's been downhill since. Even episode Heresy, it was just nostalgia bait. A lot of people have rose-tinted glasses because it's nostalgia bait with the Dreadnought. The Hive gets higher praise because people love the Hive as a faction. But the story was a fucking nothing burger. If you look at it, nothing really changed. As much as people want to hype up the lore, nothing fucking changed. And it made no difference going into Edge of Fate, like nothing. The only thing that actually ended up mattering was Echoes, because Maya Sundaresh somehow got force-fed as being the main villain for Edge of Fate. And seems like she's going to continue to be a threat in the future. Maybe because now she's losing control of her Vex, because now her Vex are gamblers and rogues. And before long, they're going to turn into cowboys and go, yeehaw, partner. But I don't know. Like, this is what I'm telling you. The story is so fucking garbage. I just can't even take it seriously. I want Destiny to go back. I want to go back to when we set foot on Nessus, or not Nessus, on Venus. Just this badass world. The Vex, everything felt fresh and was unique. The worlds mattered. Sure, like rose tinted glasses for Destiny 1. There's a lot of major glaring issues of Destiny 1. Like anyone that thinks that Destiny 1's better than 2, you're just insane. But Destiny 1 had a lot of things that it does better than Destiny 2. And just the vibe is one of them. I think the vibe now compared to Destiny 1 beats it. I will be a casual player. I will casually consume content. But there is nothing that holds me to this game other than playing a couple hours a week at this point. There's nothing exciting. Even the exotic mission, like I'll play that new exotic mission for Ash and Iron. But there's nothing, like we're about to have Arms Day and I'm like, woo. Mods. We get special mods. Woo. That's exciting. Let me go jerk myself off over some mods. I remember being excited for updates. I remember taking days off to play updates for Destiny because that's how excited I was. Just in general. I no longer stress or think about Destiny 2. Like, oh man, I can't. I want to get. I'm gonna miss out. Like, I want to see what videos people are doing. I want to see what's the secrets. I don't do that anymore. I will play Destiny, but the charm, the magic, it's gone. And I think that's the same for a lot of people. And I think that's where a lot of the frustration and the negativity and the vitriol from the community is coming from. Because there's these people, they've experienced Destiny. They know the potential. They see it and they want it to thrive. They want it to be successful. They want Destiny because they've seen it, whether it be like a certain expansion or a season or an exotic mission or a dungeon or a raid, something that popped to them. They're like, damn, this is a good game. And then something comes up like Lightfall or Edge of Fate. And they're like, this is shit. What is going on in this game? What are you doing? Or you get episode echoes and you're like, this is why? What is this trash? How do you go from something like the Witch Queen to this? How do we go from a raid like Val the Disciple to Root of Nightmare? Like, who are making these decisions? What is wrong with you? And it's just like, it's pushing people away. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of anything else. Why do I still play Destiny 2? It's because I still hold out for hope. Maybe not for Bungie. Hell, at this point, I even though Sony has a horrible track record and they burn games nonstop, I still have some hope that maybe Sony can do a strike team, let another, even though they themselves can't handle things. If you give a studio like the ones that did Helldivers, give that to a Destiny to a studio that knows what the fuck they're doing, there might be hope. Or maybe Sony tells Bungie get their head out of their ass, get some of the best players, devs that are working on Marathon and put their ass back into Destiny. The ones that saved Destiny in the Forsaken era, if they're still there. People that helped with the final shape, bring their ass back to save the game. Hire some new people. I don't know. I don't have the answers. And as a consumer, it's not my job to have the answers. I simply consume. I demand and I consume. If you don't provide the demand, I don't consume. It's simple as that. Your job as a business is to entertain me. And if I'm not entertained, I go elsewhere and you make no money. Simple as that. And guess what? When people say go play another game, well, gee willikers, I think people are going to play other games. And guess what? It ends up hurting everyone because anyone who wants to play a game, guess what? You're going to be fucking out of luck because you can't find groups to play with. I waited like 10 minutes to find a fucking match for basic ass Crucible today, just to try to get the daily, drops, just to see if I get any tier 5s that I wanted. 10 minutes to find a group. And then one of the, Crucible matches, I matched to a dude who's hacking. Just spamming infinite solar nades, except there was no visual solar nades. I was just dying to solar nades. The whole lobby was dying. 78 kills. 78 instant kills. Game ends. Dude wasn't instantly banned. How? That's just Bungie's anti-cheat. And that's the sad thing is you want someone to get banned, you gotta tag them Bungie on Twitter because that's the only time Bungie bans anyone. Gotta tag him, baby. Again, I'm negative. I'm critical of Bungie. Destiny has potential. I like Destiny. I like the idea of Destiny. I enjoy the gunplay of Destiny. I love raids. I love dungeons. I like the exotic missions. I enjoy the moments where you get to hang out with the guys and the gals and you just shoot the shit. There's an experience that you can't get playing like Call of Duty like you can playing Destiny. Playing Warframe, you can have a great time, but there's some things you can't do like you can in Destiny. First Ascended, whatever your jam is. I think WoW, they have raids. You could do that, right? It's still a different experience. It's a first-person shooter versus actual fucking MMOs, right? The closest you could probably get is Borderlands 4 if you're playing co-op with 3 other friends. But it's still not the same. The experiences that you can have in a Destiny raid is not the same. There's nothing verbatim that can replace Destiny 2 raiding or something in Destiny 2 dungeons. The gunplay itself. But it's not enough to make me invested full time anymore. And it's not enough to keep people around either. Sorry, this was a rant, but I feel like people want to hear my opinion. People are tired of just nonstop reacts. So here's my sicky icky, non-thought out, raw thoughts. I'm done. Sorry. Next time, it'll probably go faster, not be that long of a fucking video. But I'm sick, so I'm doing the best I can with brain fog. So I'm going to bed. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.